My 3 children were dividing my inheritance, thinking I was asleep under anesthesia. The apartment is mine. No, I get the house. I heard every word. A week after discharge, I invited a notary and transferred everything to... Good day, dear listeners. It's Louisa again. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. I used to think I knew my children. Really knew them. The way only a mother can, you know? I'd raised them in our little colonial house in Connecticut. Michael, Jennifer, and Robert. 3 beautiful babies who grew into 3 successful adults, a lawyer, a real estate agent, and a financial consultant. I was so proud. My husband Tom passed away 6 years ago, leaving me the house, our vacation property in Vermont, and a comfortable nest egg from his decades as an engineer. Nothing extravagant, but enough to live well. Enough to be worth something. The first crack appeared last Thanksgiving. I'd mentioned, casually, over pumpkin pie, that I was updating my will. Just routine stuff. I was 72, after all, and my attorney had recommended it. The conversation at the table stopped. Just stopped. Like someone had hit pause on a movie. "Mom, you don't need to think about that yet," Jennifer said, her smile too bright, too quick. "You're healthy as a horse." But I'd seen it. That flicker in her eyes. That glance she exchanged with Michael across the table. It was only a second, maybe less, but it landed in my chest like a stone. After that, things changed. Small things. Michael started calling more often, always asking how I was feeling, if I'd been to the doctor lately. Jennifer dropped by unannounced, commenting on how big the house was for just one person, how much upkeep it required. And Robert, my youngest, who'd barely visited in 2 years, suddenly wanted to help manage my finances. "You're getting older, Mom," he said one Sunday afternoon, sitting at my kitchen table with his laptop open. "Let me take a look at your accounts, make sure everything's optimized." Optimized. That word made my skin crawl. I smiled and said I'd think about it. But I didn't sleep well that night. The surgery was supposed to be routine, a hip replacement. My right hip had been bothering me for months, making it hard to garden, hard to walk to the mailbox without wincing. Dr. Patterson assured me it was straightforward. "You'll be dancing by Christmas," he'd said with a wink. I wasn't worried about the surgery itself. I was worried about being vulnerable, about being helpless. But what choice did I have? The pain was getting worse. All 3 of my children came to the hospital the morning of the procedure. They fussed over me, fluffed my pillows, held my hand. Jennifer brought flowers, lilies, my favorite. Michael joked with the nurses. Robert kissed my forehead. "We'll be right here when you wake up, Mom," he promised. I believed him. The anesthesia pulled me under slowly, like sinking into warm water. Dr. Patterson's voice became distant, muffled. The operating room lights blurred into white circles. And then, nothing. Except it wasn't nothing. I could hear them. Voices. My children's voices. Close by. I tried to open my eyes, tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. The anesthesia had paralyzed me, trapped me inside myself. But my mind was awake. Horribly, completely awake. "Needs to be fair," Michael was saying. "The house is worth at least $800,000 in this market." My house? Were they talking about my house? "I want the Vermont property," Jennifer cut in, her voice sharp. "You 2 can split the house and the cash. That's more than fair." "Like hell," Robert snapped. "The Vermont place is worth half what the house is. I'm not stupid, Jen." "Then what do you suggest?" Michael's lawyer voice, cold and measured. "We need to figure this out now, before she puts everything in some irrevocable trust or donates it all to charity." My heart would have raced if it could. If I could feel anything besides the terrible awareness of their words. "She's not going to donate it," Jennifer said. "She's not that type. But we need to make sure she divides everything equally. No favorites." "I should get more," Robert argued. "I'm the one who's struggling. You two are doing fine." "That's not Mom's problem," Michael shot back. They kept talking, dividing, planning, arguing over my assets like I was already dead. I screamed inside my paralyzed body, but no sound came out. When I finally woke up in recovery, a nurse was checking my vitals. My throat was dry. My hip throbbed despite the pain medication. But none of that mattered. "Your children stepped out for coffee," the nurse said cheerfully. "They've been here the whole time. You're very lucky to have such a devoted family." Devoted. The word tasted like poison. I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep when they returned. I couldn't look at them. Not yet. Not without screaming or crying or both. I listened to them whisper about how peaceful I looked, how well the surgery had gone, how they'd take turns staying with me during recovery. All lies. All performance. That night, alone in my hospital room with machines beeping softly around me, I stared at the ceiling and took inventory of my life. My real life, not the illusion I'd been living. Fact. My children didn't love me. They loved my money. Fact. They'd been circling like vultures, waiting for me to die or become incapacitated. Fact. I'd heard every word they said, every calculation, every argument over my corpse before I was even cold. The hurt was physical, worse than any hip pain. I'd given them everything, my time, my love, my sacrifice. I'd worked 2 jobs after Tom's business failed in the 90s so they could go to good colleges. I'd helped with down payments, wedding costs, and Robert's credit card debt. I'd babysat Jennifer's kids every weekend for 3 years. And this was my reward? To be divided up like furniture at an estate sale? How long had they been like this? Had they ever truly loved me? Or had I just been too blind to see the truth? I didn't cry. Crying wouldn't solve anything. Instead, I started thinking. I had options. I was still alive, still competent, still in control of my own affairs. They thought I was a frail old woman, easy to manipulate, easy to wait out. They were wrong. The next morning, Dr. Patterson came by during rounds. "How are we feeling, Dorothy?" he asked. "Honestly," I said, "I feel betrayed." He blinked, clearly not expecting that answer. I almost told him everything but stopped myself. Not yet. I needed to be smart about this. "The anesthesia can cause strange thoughts," he said gently. "It'll pass." I smiled and nodded. Let him think I was confused. Let everyone underestimate me. That would be my advantage. Michael arrived at 10 with a fruit basket and his briefcase. Always the briefcase. "How are you feeling, Mom?" He kissed my cheek. The same cheek I'd kissed when he scraped his knee at 7 years old, when he graduated law school, when he married Patricia. "Sore," I said, "but alive." "That's good. That's really good." He sat down, set his briefcase on the floor. "Listen, Mom, while you're recovering, I've been thinking, maybe it's time we had a serious conversation about your estate planning, just to make sure everything's in order. For your peace of mind. For my peace of mind." As if he cared about my mind, my peace. "What brought this on?" I asked, keeping my voice light, curious. "Well, you're not getting any younger, and with the surgery and all, we just want to make sure you're protected, that your wishes are clear." "Your wishes?" He meant his wishes. "That's very thoughtful," I said, "but I'm tired right now. Can we talk about it later?" Disappointment flashed across his face before he hit it. "Of course. You rest." After he left, I asked the nurse for my phone. My hands shook as I scrolled through my contacts. I needed help. I needed someone I could trust. Margaret. My college roommate, my oldest friend. She'd been a family law attorney before retiring to Florida. If anyone could help me navigate this, it was her. She answered on the second ring. Dorothy, how did the surgery go? The surgery was fine, I said quietly. But Margaret, I need your help. Something terrible has happened. I told her everything. Every word I'd heard while paralyzed. Every suspicion I'd had before the surgery. My voice cracked only once when I described Robert saying I might donate everything to charity, as if that would be the worst possible outcome. Margaret was silent for a long moment. Then, those ungrateful little shits. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Margaret had never minced words. What do? I asked. First, you document everything. Every conversation, every request, every suspicious behavior. Second, you don't let on that you know anything. And third, she paused. Third, you call my colleague, Harold Chen. He's the best estate attorney in Connecticut. Tell him I sent you. He'll know what to do. I can't afford to... Dorothy, you have $800,000 in real estate alone, according to your son's appraisal. You can afford an attorney, and trust me, you'll need one. She was right. I knew she was right. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we've protected everything you've worked for. When we've made sure those kids of yours learn that you're not a piggy bank to be smashed open. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt since I'd woken up in recovery. Hope. And beneath it, something harder. Something colder. Determination. I was discharged 4 days later. Jennifer picked me up, helped me into her Mercedes SUV, chattering the whole drive about how she'd prepared the guest room at her house for my recovery. You can't possibly manage those stairs at your place, she said. Not with the hip. You'll stay with us for a few weeks. It wasn't a question. It was an assumption. An assumption that I was helpless now. Dependent. Ready to be managed. That's kind of you, I said carefully. But I think I'd be more comfortable at home. I've already arranged for a home health aide. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel. Mom, that's expensive and unnecessary. We're family. I've made up my mind, Jennifer. The silence in the car was arctic. She dropped me at my house with barely a goodbye, her smile brittle as glass. I watched her drive away and felt nothing but relief. The home health aide, a kind Jamaican woman named Claudette, arrived that evening. But she wasn't just an aide. She was also a witness. On Margaret's advice, I'd hired someone who could document my mental competency, my ability to care for myself, my independence, just in case my children tried to claim otherwise later. They might try to say you're not capable of making your own decisions, Margaret had warned. Get ahead of it. The next morning, while Claudette helped me with exercises, I called Harold Chen's office. His secretary scheduled me for the following week, a home visit since I was recovering. Mr. Chen specializes in complex estate cases, she said, particularly those involving family disputes. Family disputes, such a clean phrase for what my children had become. That afternoon, Robert showed up unannounced. He let himself in with the key I'd given him years ago. For emergencies, I'd said. This wasn't an emergency. Mom, you should have told me you were home. I would have picked you up. He hugged me carefully, like I might break. Jennifer brought me, I said. Oh. Something crossed his face. Irritation? Well, I'm here now. Let me help you get settled. He wandered through the house, touching things. The credenza in the hallway. The antique lamp Tom's mother had left us. His eyes lingered on the framed photos on the mantel. Our family, back when we were actually a family. This place really is too big for you, he said finally. Have you thought about downsizing? There it was, the first probe, testing to see if the surgery, the medication, the vulnerability had softened me up. "I like my house," I said simply. "Sure, but the maintenance, the property taxes. Wouldn't a nice condo make more sense? You could sell this place, pocket the money, live somewhere easier to manage." Pocket the money. He meant turn my equity into liquid assets that would be easier to inherit. "I'm not selling my home, Robert." He opened his mouth to argue, saw something in my expression, and closed it again. "Okay, just trying to help." After he left, I found myself shaking, not from fear, from rage. Harold Chen arrived the following Tuesday at 2 p.m. sharp. He was younger than I expected, maybe 50, with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. He set up his laptop at my dining room table and spent 3 hours listening to my story. I told him everything: the overhead conversation during surgery, the years of increasing pressure, the casual comments about my house, my finances, my future. I even showed him the texts, dozens of messages from my children over the past 6 months, all circling the same themes: my age, my health, my need for help. "And you want to change your will," Harold said. It wasn't a question. "I want to change everything. I want them to inherit nothing." He studied me for a long moment. "Mrs. Morrison, I need to be clear about something. What you're describing, cutting out your children entirely, will almost certainly lead to a legal challenge. They'll claim undue influence, mental incompetence, anything they can think of to contest the will. Let them try," I said. "I'm 72, not senile. I'm recovering from hip surgery, not brain surgery. And I have witnesses." I gestured to where Claudette was folding laundry in the next room, deliberately within earshot. Harold smiled. It was a sharp smile, a winning smile. "Then let's make sure your new will is absolutely bulletproof." We worked through dinner. Harold explained my options. I could leave everything to charity. I could create a trust with specific conditions. I could leave them token amounts, $1 each, which would prove I hadn't simply forgotten them. "The $1 approach is actually strongest," he said. "It shows clear intent. You're explicitly choosing to disinherit them, not accidentally omitting them." $1 each, I repeated, "for Michael, Jennifer, and Robert Morrison." "And the rest of your estate?" I thought about that. The house where I'd raised them, the Vermont property where we'd spent summers, the savings Tom and I had built over 40 years of marriage. "Split it," I said. "Half to the Alzheimer's Association in my husband's memory. He died of early-onset dementia. And half to the Women's Shelter of Hartford. I volunteered there for years," Harold typed quickly. "That works. But I need to ask, are you absolutely certain? Once we do this, there's no going back. Your relationship with your children will be permanently altered." I thought of their voices in that hospital room, the casual way they'd divided my life into parcels. "There's no relationship left to alter," I said. Before Harold left, he pulled a small recording device from his briefcase. "I need to record a statement from you, in your own words, explaining why you're making these changes. It'll help if they try to challenge your competency." I looked directly into the recorder and spoke clearly. "My name is Dorothy Ann Morrison. I am 72 years old. I am of sound mind and body. I am making these changes to my will because I heard my children, Michael, Jennifer, and Robert Morrison, discussing how to divide my estate while I was under anesthesia. They believed I was unconscious. They were wrong. Their words showed me that they view me as an asset to be liquidated, not as their mother. I will not reward that behavior. This is my choice, made freely and with full understanding of the consequences." Harold stopped recording. "Perfect. I'll have the new will drafted by the end of the week." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that recording in my head, hearing my own voice saying those words. They sounded so cold, so final. Was I doing the right thing? Then I remembered. I should get more. I'm the one who's struggling. Robert's voice, arguing that his financial problems meant he deserved a larger share of my corpse. Yes, I was doing exactly the right thing. 2 days later, Michael called. Mom, I heard Harold Chen was at your house. Are you updating your will? The question was casual. The tone was not. Who told you that? I asked. Your neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, mentioned it. She saw his car. A pause. You know you can talk to me about this stuff, right? I'm a lawyer. I could help you for free. A lawyer who stood to inherit a third of my estate. No conflict of interest there. I appreciate it, Michael, but I prefer to keep my business private. Private from your own son? Private from everyone. The silence on the line was glacial. Fine, but I hope you know what you're doing. I do, I said. I absolutely do. After I hung up, I realized my hands weren't shaking anymore. I'd crossed a line. There was no going back now, and honestly, I didn't want to go back. Harold returned the following Friday with the completed documents. The new will, durable power of attorney, healthcare directive, everything. Claudette and Mrs. Patterson from next door served as witnesses. Everything legal, everything documented, everything airtight. Sign here, here, and here, Harold said, pointing to the marked tabs. My hand was steady as I signed my name. Dorothy Ann Morrison. Each signature felt like a key turning in a lock, securing something precious. It's done, Harold said, gathering the papers. I'll file the original with my office and send you certified copies. As of this moment, your previous will is void. As of this moment, my children's inheritance was gone. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. I felt free. For 3 days, nothing happened. I continued my physical therapy with Claudette, practiced walking with my cane, slowly reclaimed my independence. The May weather was beautiful. Warm sun, flowering dogwoods. I sat on my back porch and actually enjoyed my coffee for the first time in months. Then Jennifer showed up. She didn't knock. She used her key, another emergency key that was apparently for everyday use now, and walked straight through to the back porch where I was sitting. We need to talk, she said. No hello, no how are you feeling. About what? About Harold Chen. About you changing your will without telling any of us. So they knew. Somehow, they'd found out. My will is my business, I said calmly. Not when you're being manipulated by some lawyer who's probably charging you thousands of dollars to do exactly what I asked him to do, I interrupted. I hired Harold. I gave him instructions. Nobody manipulated me into anything. Jennifer's face flushed. This isn't like you, Mom. You're not vindictive. You're not cruel. Whatever Harold told you, whatever ideas he put in your head. He didn't put any ideas in my head, Jennifer. You did that, all by yourselves. Her eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? I could tell her. I could describe exactly what I'd heard in that hospital room, throw their own words back at them. But something stopped me. Not kindness. I was fresh out of that. Strategy. Let them wonder what I knew. Let them be uncertain. It means I'm tired of being treated like an ATM instead of a mother. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time you visited me just to visit? Not to comment on my house being too big, or my finances needing management, or my health declining. When's the last time you called just to say you love me? She opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. She left 20 minutes later, her parting shot echoing through the house. You're going to regret this. Michael arrived that evening, then Robert. A coordinated attack, They must have planned it together. All three of my children sitting in my living room like a tribunal. "Mom, we're worried about you," Michael began. He'd slipped into his lawyer voice, calm and reasonable. "These kinds of sudden, dramatic decisions can be a sign of diminished capacity." "Diminished capacity?" I repeated. "I'm recovering from hip surgery, not dementia." "We're not saying you have dementia," Jennifer jumped in. "But the anesthesia, the pain medication, the stress, it can affect judgment. We just want to make sure you're thinking clearly." "I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years." Robert leaned forward. "Then think clearly about this. Family is everything. Blood is everything. Whatever you think we've done, whatever misunderstanding has happened, we can fix it. But not if you push us away." Misunderstanding. As if I'd misheard them. As if their words weren't burned into my brain. "There's no misunderstanding," I said quietly. Michael's reasonable mask slipped. "So that's it? You're really going to cut us out? After everything we've done for you?" "Everything you've done for me." My voice rose despite myself. "What have you done for me, Michael? Besides calculate the market value of my house while I was unconscious?" The room went silent. Dead silent. Jennifer's face went white. You were awake?" "I heard every word," I said. "Every argument about who gets what. Every complaint about fairness. Every calculation. I heard all of it." Robert stood up abruptly. "You don't understand the context. Then explain it to me. Explain the context in which my children discuss dividing up my estate before I'm even dead." "I'm listening." None of them spoke. "That's what I thought," I said again. "Now I'd like you all to leave. And next time, call before you come over." "Mom," Jennifer tried. "Leave. Now." Michael grabbed his briefcase. His face was red, his jaw clenched. "Fine. But don't come crying to us when you realize what a mistake you're making. We're done trying to help you." "Good," I said. "I don't want your help anymore." They left together, their angry voices fading down the driveway. I heard car doors slam, engines start, tires on gravel. Then silence. I sat in that silence for a long time, my hip aching, my heart pounding. My hands were shaking now. Not from fear, exactly, from adrenaline, from the sheer enormity of what I'd just done. I'd severed ties with my children, all of them, in one conversation. Claudette found me there an hour later, still sitting in the darkening living room. "Mrs. Morrison, you okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I honestly don't know." She sat down beside me. "What you need is rest. Real rest. Your body's healing from surgery, but your heart, that needs healing too." She was right. The next few days, I let myself rest. Really rest. I didn't answer calls from my children, and there were many. I didn't respond to their texts. I just existed, healed, thought. Mrs. Patterson brought me soup. Claudette made sure I ate. Margaret called every other day from Florida, checking in, making sure I hadn't changed my mind. "You did the right thing," she said. "I know it doesn't feel like it yet, but you did." I wanted to believe her. By the following Tuesday, a week after the confrontation, I felt stronger. Physically, the hip was improving. Emotionally, I was starting to accept what had happened, what I'd done. My children had shown me who they really were. I'd responded appropriately. That wasn't cruelty. That was self-preservation. The first letter arrived on a Wednesday. It was from Robert, handwritten on expensive stationery, the kind he'd never bothered with before. "Dear Mom, I've been doing a lot of thinking since our conversation. I realize I haven't been the son you deserve. I've been focused on my own problems, my struggles. And I haven't been there for you the way I should have been. I know I can't undo the hurt I've caused, but I want to try to make things right. Not for the inheritance. I don't care about that anymore. I just want my mother back. Can we talk? Please? Just the two of us? Love, Robert. I read it twice looking for sincerity. All I found were the words of someone who'd been coached, probably by Michael. I filed it away without responding. Jennifer's approach was different. She started showing up at church, my church, where I'd been a member for 30 years. She'd never been particularly religious before. But suddenly, there she was every Sunday, sitting 3 rows behind me, smiling hopefully when our eyes met. After the service, she'd try to approach. I'd leave through the side door. On the 4th Sunday, she cornered me in the parking lot. Mom, please, can we just have coffee? 30 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Real tears or practiced ones? I couldn't tell anymore. I don't think that's a good idea, I said. I'm your daughter. Her voice cracked. Doesn't that mean anything? It should have. God, it should have. But every time I started to soften, I heard her voice in that hospital room. I want the Vermont property. You two can split the house and the cash. Being my daughter means you should have treated me like your mother, I said, not like a retirement plan. I drove away while she was still standing there. Michael tried the legal angle. His wife Patricia called, sweet, diplomatic Patricia, who'd always stayed out of family drama. Dorothy, I hope I'm not overstepping, she began, but Michael is devastated. He knows he made mistakes, but he loves you. They all love you. Did he tell you what he said in the hospital? A pause. He told me you overheard a conversation that was taken out of context. Out of context, of course. There's no context that makes it acceptable, Patricia. I understand you're hurt. But unforgiveness, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You're only hurting yourself. That one almost worked. Patricia was kind, genuine. But she wasn't there. She didn't hear what I heard. I appreciate your concern, I said carefully, but this is between me and my children. After I hung up, I felt the walls closing in, everyone trying to convince me I was wrong, that I was being unfair, vindictive, cruel. Was I? Was I the villain in this story? That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying conversations, second-guessing myself, wondering if I should have handled things differently. At 2 a.m. I called Margaret. They're wearing you down, she said immediately. That's the plan. Isolate you, make you doubt yourself, pressure you until you crack. How do I stop it? You find your people, the ones who support you unconditionally. Because, Dorothy, you can't do this alone. The next morning, I went to my book club for the first time since the surgery. 8 women I'd known for years who met monthly to discuss novels and drink too much wine. I told them everything, not the details of the will. That felt too private. But the hospital conversation, the realization of what my children had become, the pressure I was under. When I finished, Rita, a retired teacher who'd raised 4 kids of her own, reached across the table and took my hand. Dorothy, do you know why I only see 2 of my children anymore? I shook my head. Because the other 2 stole from me, forged checks, drained my savings account, and then acted like I was the problem when I confronted them. She squeezed my hand. Some children grow up to be good people. Some don't. That's not your failure. That's their choice. Around the table, others nodded. Sarah had a son who only called when he needed money. Linda's daughter hadn't visited in 3 years. Patricia had a son in prison for fraud. I'd thought I was alone. I wasn't. What did you do? I asked Rita. I cut them off. Completely. It hurt like hell, but it was the right thing to do, and you know what? My life got better. Quieter, but better. We talked for hours. By the time I left, I felt lighter, validated, less alone. That weekend, I joined a hiking group for seniors, women over 60 who did easy trails through Connecticut's state parks. My hip was strong enough now for gentle walks, and Claudette had been encouraging me to build strength. The first hike was beautiful. Sunny day, spring flowers, good conversation with women who didn't know my children, didn't know my drama. They just knew me as Dorothy, the woman who loved birds and could identify every wildflower. For 3 hours, I wasn't someone's mother or someone's inheritance. I was just myself. When I got home that afternoon, there were 2 voicemails. Jennifer, Mom, I don't know what else to do. Please call me, please. Michael, this silent treatment is childish. We're your children. We deserve at least a conversation. I deleted both without responding. My phone rang again. Robert. I let it go to voicemail. But this time, something was different. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't doubting myself. I was just calm. Cold, even. They thought they could wait me out, wear me down, guilt me into changing my mind. They were wrong. The book club women had shown me something important. I didn't need my children to have a good life. I had friends. I had community. I had purpose. What did they have? Each other, I supposed. United in their resentment of me. Let them be united. I had better company. That night, I slept through until morning for the first time in weeks. They came back in June, 2 weeks before what would have been my 48th wedding anniversary with Tom. All 3 of them. Together. At 7 p.m. on a Thursday, right as I was finishing dinner. This time they knocked. I considered not answering, but curiosity got the better of me. What new strategy had they devised? Through the window, I could see them on my porch. Michael holding flowers. Jennifer with a bakery box. Probably from that expensive place she loved. Robert empty-handed, but smiling his most charming smile. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. Mom, Michael started, we know you don't want to see us, but we couldn't let another day go by without trying to fix this. We're family. We talked to a family therapist, Jennifer added quickly. Dr. Williams. She helped us understand where we went wrong. We want to make amends, real amends. A therapist. How convenient. How strategic. We prepared something, Robert said. He pulled out his phone. We each wrote down what we should have said in the hospital, what we wish we'd said. Can we share them with you? It was a good performance. I had to give them credit. The right amount of contrition, hope, vulnerability. But I'd lived with these people for decades. I knew when they were lying. Come in, I said finally. You have 10 minutes. They filed into my living room, sat on the couch like supplicants. Jennifer set the bakery box on the coffee table. Canelés, my favorite. Michael placed the flowers, Tom's favorite roses, on the side table. Everything calculated. Everything meant to trigger memories, emotions, weakness. I'll go first, Michael said. He looked at his phone, reading, Mom, I'm sorry for treating your estate like a business transaction instead of your life's work. I'm sorry for not considering your feelings. I'm sorry for making you feel like your only value to me was financial. Practiced. Polished. Every word chosen by a lawyer or a therapist, or both. Jennifer went next. I'm sorry for being selfish, for thinking about what I wanted instead of what you needed, for not being there for you as a daughter, only as someone waiting for an inheritance, Robert finished. I'm sorry for putting my struggles above our relationship, for forgetting that you're not just my mother, but a person with feelings. You deserved better from all of us. They looked at me expectantly, waiting for absolution, waiting for me to cry and forgive and tear up the new will. Those are nice words, I said. Very nice words. Who wrote them? Jennifer blinked. We did. Really? Because they sound like they came from the same person. Same structure, same rhythm, same calculated apology formula. I leaned back in my chair. Did Dr. Williams help you write them? Or did you do it yourselves? Michael's jaw tightened. Does it matter? We're trying. It matters because none of it is genuine. I looked at each of them. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry I changed my will. That's what this is about. That's not fair, Jennifer protested. We don't care about the money. Yes, you do. You care very much about the money. That's the whole problem. The masks started to slip. What do you want from us? Robert demanded. We apologized. We're trying to make things right. What more can we do? You could have been better children for the past 72 years, I said quietly. But it's a little late for that now. Michael stood up abruptly. You know what? Fine. We tried. We did everything right. The apologies, the therapy, coming here with an olive branch, and you're still going to punish us. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself. From what? From your own children who love you? From people who discussed dividing my assets while I was on an operating table. My voice was steel. That's what I'm protecting myself from. Jennifer's face crumpled, but there was anger beneath the tears. You're going to die alone, Mom. Is that what you want? To die in this big, empty house with no family, no one who cares? Better alone than surrounded by vultures. That did it. The masks came off completely. Fine, Michael snarled. Keep your money. Keep your house. Keep your bitter, lonely life. But don't expect us to come running when you actually need us. I don't expect anything from you anymore, I said. That's the whole point. Jennifer grabbed her purse. You're going to regret this. When you're really old, really sick, and there's no one to take care of you, you'll regret this. Is that a threat or a prediction? She didn't answer. Robert was the last to stand. He looked at me with something I couldn't quite read. Hurt? Rage? Both? You used to be kind, he said. You used to forgive. Dad would be ashamed of who you've become. That one landed. That one hurt. Your father would be ashamed that his children turned into the kind of people who calculate inheritance amounts while their mother is in surgery, I said, my voice shaking now. Don't you dare talk to me about what Tom would think. They left. No goodbye, no backward glance. Just the slam of my door and the sound of 3 cars starting in my driveway. I stood in the sudden silence, heart pounding, hands trembling. For a moment, just a moment, I felt afraid. What if they were right? What if I was making a terrible mistake? What if I did end up alone and sick with no one to help me? Then I looked at the coffee table, at the expensive cannelés Jennifer had brought, at the roses Michael had purchased, at the scripted apologies they'd read from their phones. All of it fake, all of it manipulation, all of it proof that I was doing exactly the right thing. I threw the cannelés in the garbage, put the roses on the back porch. I'd give them to Mrs. Patterson tomorrow. Then I called Harold Chen. Dorothy? He answered on the first ring. Everything okay? I need you to make sure my will is absolutely bulletproof, I said. My children just showed me they're going to fight this. I need to be prepared. Already on it, he said. I've been documenting everything, including the recording we made. But I'll add additional safeguards. Don't worry. When the time comes, they won't be able to touch it. Thank you. How are you holding up? I looked around my empty house. My beautiful, quiet, mine house. Honestly, I said, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm free. And I was. The confrontation came in late July, 3 months after the surgery that had changed everything. I was in my garden when a black sedan pulled into my driveway. A woman in a business suit stepped out. Dorothy Morrison. I'm Amanda Pearson, attorney at law. I represent your children in a matter regarding your mental competency. She pulled papers from her briefcase. I'm here to serve you with a petition for guardianship and conservatorship. They were trying to have me declared incompetent. I called Harold before she'd even left my driveway. They can try, Harold said grimly. Come to my office tomorrow. We need to mount a defense immediately. The petition claimed I'd been manipulated by Harold, showed signs of dementia, was isolating myself, and had made drastic changes while under pain medication. All lies designed to paint me as a confused old woman. Harold and I spent 2 weeks preparing. Medical records, statements from Dr. Patterson and Claudette, bank records, the recording explaining my reasons. They're going to put you on the stand, Harold warned. Stay calm. Answer clearly. Don't get defensive. The hearing was August 15th. Judge Marion Fuller presided, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes. Amanda Pearson presented their case. Michael testified first. She's been paranoid, suspicious. She cut us off completely for no reason. She changed her entire estate plan right after surgery, while on strong pain medication. Jennifer cried on cue. She's cold now, distant. She won't let us visit. It's heartbreaking. Robert delivered the final blow. This lawyer convinced her to leave everything to charity. Someone's manipulating her. Then Harold called me to the stand. Mrs. Morrison, do you understand why we're here? Yes, my children are trying to have me declared incompetent so they can control my money. And are you incompetent? No, I'm 72, not senile. I know exactly what I'm doing and why. Can you explain why you changed your will? I looked directly at my children. I changed my will because I heard what you said in the hospital. Every word. Jennifer went white. Michael's eyes widened. I heard them dividing my estate while I was supposed to be unconscious. I heard Michael say my house was worth $800,000. I heard Jennifer demand the Vermont property. I heard Robert argue he should get more because he's struggling financially. And how did that make you feel? Like my only value to them was the money I'd leave behind when I died. Harold played my recording, called witnesses, Dr. Patterson, Claudette, Mrs. Patterson, presented my bank records, medical records, tax returns, everything proving I was competent and rational. Then he turned to my children's attorney. Ms. Pearson, can you provide any evidence of manipulation? The timing of her hiring an attorney after discovering her children were plotting to divide her estate. That's self-preservation, not manipulation. Harold called Michael back to the stand. Did you discuss her estate while she was in surgery? Michael hesitated. We were concerned about her future planning. Did you or did you not discuss dividing her assets while she was under anesthesia? Silence. We were just talking, Michael said weakly. Which of you said you should get more because you're struggling financially? Harold looked at Robert. Robert's face was red. You're twisting everything. Judge Fuller held up her hand. Mr. Morrison, yes or no, did this conversation happen? Silence. Then quietly, yes. Jennifer started crying. Real tears this time. Judge Fuller looked at all 3 of them with disgust. Then at me. Mrs. Morrison, I've reviewed all the evidence. Your medical records are excellent. Your mental status shows no cognitive impairment. Your financial records are meticulously organized. You've demonstrated clear understanding and articulated rational reasons. She paused. The petition for guardianship and conservatorship is denied. The gavel came down. I'd won. The aftermath of the hearing was swift and brutal. Harold and I walked out of the courthouse while my children huddled with their attorney inside. I didn't look back. Congratulations, Harold said. Their case was weak from the start. Will they appeal? They can try, but Judge Fuller's ruling was solid. They'd be wasting their money. He paused. Speaking of which, they'll receive a bill from Ms. Pearson. Guardianship cases aren't cheap. Good. Let them pay for their failed attempt to control me. The next day, I received 3 identical emails. We accept the court's decision and will respect your wishes going forward. No apology, no acknowledgement of what they'd done, just cold, legal language admitting defeat. I deleted all 3 without responding, but I wasn't finished. Not yet. 2 weeks later, I called a family meeting at Harold's office. My first and last act of communication with my children as a group. They came because they had to know if there was any chance of changing my mind. All 3 filed in, sat across the conference table. They looked older, tired. Michael had dark circles under his eyes. Jennifer's hair was grayer. Robert had lost weight. "Thank you for coming," I said formally. "I'll be brief." I pulled out 3 envelopes, handed one to each of them. "These are copies of my final will. I wanted you to see exactly what your actions have cost you." Michael opened his first. I watched his face as he read. "To my son, Michael James Morrison, I leave the sum of $1, as acknowledgement that he has not been forgotten, but has been deliberately excluded from my estate. The same language appears in each of your bequests," I continued. $1 each, the legal minimum to prove I didn't simply forget you existed. "And the rest?" Robert asked, his voice hollow. "Divided equally between the Alzheimer's Association and the Women's Shelter of Hartford, organizations that actually help people instead of exploiting them." Jennifer made a sound like a wounded animal. "The house? The Vermont property? Will be sold after my death. The proceeds donated. You'll get nothing but $1 and the knowledge that your greed cost you everything." "This is insane," Michael started. "This is justice," I interrupted. "You treated me like an asset to be liquidated. Now you'll inherit exactly what you deserve, nothing." I stood up. Harold stood with me. "Wait," Robert said desperately. "There has to be something we can do." "There isn't. The will is ironclad. Even if you contest it, which I know you will, you'll lose. The recording, the witnesses, the court ruling, everything supports my decision." "You're really going to do this," Jennifer whispered. "You left me first," I said. "In that hospital room, when you divided me up like property, you left me. This is just making it official." I walked to the door, turned back one last time. "I raised you to be kind, honest, compassionate people. Somewhere along the way, you became something else, something I don't recognize. Mom, please." "Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Jennifer. Goodbye, Robert. I won't see you again unless it's in court." Harold drove me home in silence. When we pulled into my driveway, he turned to me. "You know they'll make this ugly. They'll tell everyone you're a bitter old woman who turned on her children. Let them. I know the truth. That's enough." The following weeks proved Harold right. My children launched a smear campaign, telling anyone who would listen that I'd been brainwashed, that I was mentally declining, that I'd turned cruel and vindictive. Some people believed them. I saw it in the looks at church, at the grocery store. But my book club rallied around me. Rita organized a dinner at my house, 20 women eating, laughing, supporting me. "Anyone who believes those spoiled brats deserves what they're going to get, which is nothing," Rita declared, raising her wine glass. In September, my children filed a will contest. Harold called with the news. They're claiming undue influence, diminished capacity, and fraud. None of which they can prove. Exactly, but it'll tie things up in court for a while. Could take a year or more. "I have time," I said. In October, I sold the Vermont property. I donated the entire proceeds, $320,000, to the Alzheimer's Association in Tom's name. I made sure my children found out. Made sure they knew exactly how much money they'd just watched disappear. Jennifer called, screaming. I hung up and blocked her number. In November, Judge Fuller ruled on the will contest. Her decision was brutal and final. The contestants have failed to provide any credible evidence. Mrs. Morrison's will stands as written. The contestants are ordered to pay all court costs and attorney fees. They'd lost, completely, and it had cost them thousands in legal fees. Harold sent me the ruling with a note. "Congratulations. It's over." But it wasn't quite over. Because they had one more card to play. Christmas. Christmas came cold and bright. My first holiday completely free from pretending my children loved me. I spent it with my book club women. Rita hosted a potluck with too much food, wine, and genuine laughter. We exchanged gifts, told stories, played cards until midnight. "This is what family should feel like," I said. "This is what family does feel like," Rita corrected. "Blood doesn't make family. Love and loyalty do." My life had become fuller without my children. I'd joined a watercolor class, started volunteering at the library, took a creative writing workshop. In February, I celebrated my 73rd birthday with 25 people. Friends, neighbors, women from my groups. My house was full of warmth and people who actually wanted to be there. Not one of my children called. I didn't cry about it. Meanwhile, through Mrs. Patterson, I learned what was happening to them. Michael's law firm partnership vote failed. The managing partners had heard about the guardianship case, legal ethics concerns. He remained an associate at 53. His marriage was crumbling. Patricia had moved to the guest room. Jennifer's real estate business was struggling. When word spread about what she'd done, her older clients found other agents. Her children kept asking why they didn't see Grandma anymore. Robert's financial problems had worsened. Legal fees had drained his savings. Facing the reality of inheriting only $1, his creditors circled. He'd sold his car, moved to a smaller apartment, took a second job. I felt nothing but calm justice. They'd made their choices. In April, I donated $100,000 to the women's shelter. They named a wing after Tom, the Thomas Morrison Family Safety Wing. I made sure my children saw the newspaper article. In May, I threw a garden party, 30 people celebrating my recovery. "You look truly happy," Claudette said. "I am," I realized. "I really am." That night, I moved photos of my children to a drawer, replaced them with new ones, me and Rita hiking, me in the book club, me and Claudette laughing. My real family, my chosen family. In July, Harold called. "The probate case is closed, all appeals exhausted." "They're out of options?" "Completely. They inherit $1 each. Everything else goes to charity." Good. In August, Jennifer tried once more, writing to the Alzheimer's Association claiming I was mentally ill. Harold handled it. "My client is competent and within her rights. Continue this harassment and we'll pursue a restraining order." That was the last I heard from any of them. By October, 18 months after that hospital revelation, my life had transformed. I'd lost my children, but gained a community. Lost illusions, but gained self-respect. Lost inheritance expectations, but gained freedom. I walked through my house on a fall morning, planning my day. Watercolor class, lunch with Rita, book club. My calendar was full. My life was full. Somewhere out there, my children were living with the consequences of treating their mother like a commodity. I felt no guilt. They'd made their bed. Let them lie in it.